All right, let's move on to some other issues. And out of Victoria, we're going on up north into Queensland and beyond with the Mayor of the Labor, well, it's not a Labor town, she's a Labor Mayor, Townsville, the Labor Mayor of Townsville, her name is Jenny Hill, out urging the ALP against silencing pro-mining Queensland political candidates. She's warning Anthony Albanese not to repeat Bill Shorten's strategy of shielding Queensland candidates from the media. Hill said to the Australian newspaper today, you want candidates that are seen to be centrists. They need to be able to relate to people. While people in Melbourne don't believe in coal mining, it's the heart and soul of the regions, particularly around Mackay, Rockhampton and parts of Townsville. Well, I invited Jenny Hill on the program. She declined. So instead, I'll speak to someone who's actually got the mining portfolio as his day job. Resources Minister Keith Pitt joins me now from Brisbane. Great to have your time, Minister. Thank you for coming on. She has got a point. I think she's perhaps mugged by reality, but there's one thing to say, like she does in that article, that she as a mayor of Townsville is a supporter of coal. Why does she have to keep it a secret?
Well, I think this has just been the habit of the Labor Party now for some months and years. I mean, it doesn't matter what a candidate says. It matters what the local member says if they're elected to Parliament. And we know that Labor candidates end up as MPs who have to toe the line in Canberra. They have to do exactly what they're told. I mean, look at the existing conditions. You've got Joel Fitzgibbon, the Shadow Minister for Resources, having to hold these secret underground meetings of the Otis Group for members of the Labor Party that might support the resources sector. Now, I know there's only a handful of them, but what nonsense. I mean, we know that the Leader of the Opposition, Anthony Albanese, is not a true believer. He doesn't support the sector. He continues to not support the sector, and that means he doesn't support jobs.
You make a very good point there, Keith Pitt, because she's arguing that they need candidates to speak out, but they actually need policies that support baseload power, policies that support mining, and I think particularly coming out of this crisis, the need to get manufacturing up and going again in Australia, policies that support affordable and reliable electricity. Is there a turf war going on inside the Labor Party for the soul of Labor on issues like this?
Oh, look, I think Joel Fitzgibbon had a near-death experience in political terms at the last election, and he's woken up to the fact that hard-working Australians out there that work in the resources sector, and in particular coal, want to stay in their jobs. They don't want to transition to something else. They work in a very important industry. You imagine where the country would be right now without the resources sector during the corona pandemic. I mean, we've just had a fantastic result. We expect $293 billion worth of economic activity from energy and resources exports, around 240,000 people employed right across the country, and yet the Labor Party can't admit to themselves that they don't represent working people anymore. They represent inner-city lefties, green lovers who are not interested in what drives this nation and provides jobs and makes us as successful as we are.
You're coming to me from Brisbane, and of course it's a state election in Queensland in October. We know prior to the federal election, when there was the thought that Bill Shorten would be Prime Minister, the Queensland Labor government was fairly bolshy on issues like mining and Adani, and almost immediately after Scott Morrison was re-elected, they recanted some of those policies. Is that fair income? Are you going to see a change of heart with Labor as they go to the election, or should we think that they'll say one thing prior to October's state ballot and perhaps another thing on the other side of the election if they're returned?
Well, I think it's a matter of who can you trust. And very clearly, former Deputy Premier Trad wanted to transition the entire resources sector out of a job. And right now, with the Trad roadblock removed, there's been no real change. You look at New Auckland, more than 10 years worth of discussions and applications, and they just need that state government approval so they can get going on their next stage and maintain jobs in that region. So they'll talk a big game, but they don't actually deliver.